Welcome into Half Hour Hustle. I'm Mia Santinelli alongside Evan Cormier. Evan, how are you doing tonight?
I really can't complain. It was a chaotic end to the college football season. I can't wait to talk about it.
Me as well. We have a great show for you tonight. We'll be talking Team USA, who was qualified for the Olympics in Paris this summer, and what are the expectations. As we look at professional sports, we'll discuss the success of the NBA's first in-season tournament. Champions have been crowned. And speaking of champions being crowned, NCAA Fall Championship season is upon us. First up, we head to Cary, North Carolina for a recap on the Division I Women's Soccer College Cup. Semifinal number 1, BYU versus Stanford, and Ali Montoya opens up the scoring with this banger, followed up less than 3 minutes later by Maya Doms from distance, both in the first 5 minutes of the first half. Final score, 2-0, Stanford advances to the final. Semifinal number 2, Florida State versus Clemson. Caitlin Zippe stays onside and hammers this one into the back of the net into the second half. Jordan Dudley, unassisted, puts the Seminoles up 2-0. That score stands, and the final is set between two undefeated teams. First goal comes after a penalty drawn inside the 18, and you guessed it, Jordan Dudley places it perfectly above the keeper. 26 seconds later, FSU barred down 2-0 headed into half. Florida State had yet to concede in the College Cup until now. Maya Doms finishes this sequence with an absolute great shot, but a dominant performance by FSU makes this game a 5-1 victory for the Seminoles, who complete the undefeated season and are crowned national champs. We have two players, Lauren Flynn and Jordan Dudley, named most outstanding defensive and offensive players, respectively. On to Division I field hockey. UNC playing in Charlottesville, able to top Virginia 2-0 and not only head back to the championship, but host it on their home turf. Northwestern scores a second goal in the fourth and earns a 2-1 victory over Duke to send them to Tar Heels country. The championship was as exciting as it gets, with sophomore Riley Heck getting the game-winning goal in a sudden death shootout. Tar Heels are victorious, lifting their head coach Erin Matson in celebration. Here's what she had to say after the match.
When you win, people pay attention, and that's, you either want it or you don't, and usually if you don't, you're not successful. So we love the fact that we've been able to be so successful over the years, and with that comes attention and pressure and cameras, microphones. So it's part of it, and I will always do it to the best of my ability to make sure that I represent this program well, and that these guys feel like they are a part of something that people want to pay attention to.
Erin Matson, the youngest coach currently in NCAA, at only 23 years old, she's won 4 national championships as a player, added another one this year as a coach, 5 ACC championships, and another one this year. Evan, what do you think about Erin Matson's career?
Yeah, I can't believe that this isn't a bigger story. That's one of the most loaded trophy cases I've ever seen. Erin Matson, I love how candidly she spoke about the pressure that comes onto these young players as they get and find more success in their sports. But hey, in other news, Championship Saturday left more questions than answers. Some commanding wins and nail-biters gave way to the most controversial selection show of all time. Here's Michigan, who was able to finish their undefeated season. They were crowned Big Ten champions and got the committee's #1 spot. A matchup of two Heisman finalists in the Pac-12 championship, the Washington Huskies came out on top. Once again, Pac-12 champions, they earned #2. In Texas, the Hook'em Horns took down the Pokes in style. They had to win big, and they did just that, finishing the season 12-1 and earning the committee's 3rd spot. Again, they had that big win over Alabama in Tuscaloosa, rounding out the top 4 with the upset of the year. 8th-ranked Alabama got it done again. They beat Georgia in Atlanta, the first team to beat the Dogs since the last time the Tide rolled in the 2021 SEC Championship. The Tide are in, Mia, and welcome in our college football analyst, Robert McCoy. Robert, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
First and foremost, we really just can't ignore this. Do you think the committee got it right?
They definitely did not get it right, because you cannot leave an undefeated team out of the playoffs. I feel like in a game of sports, you play the game to win games and not to lose. And I feel like if you got that job done, I feel like you have to be rewarded.
Yeah, the real only knock on them was the injury to their starting quarterback. Speaking of, there's a couple other one-loss teams. Georgia and Ohio State didn't get it either. You think that's fair?
It's not, and that's why I feel like you have to put the undefeated team in there, and then it just goes into points in that aspect of who you're gonna end up putting in. But if you're gonna just go based off names and and here you're gonna do that. You can't really do that because there's always gonna be a Cinderella story. There's always gonna be somebody who can come from the bottom and figure something out. So
Yeah, I hear you. But the top four, nothing we can do about it now. Who's your champion?
I got Washington. I got Washington beating Texas and beating Alabama. I think Alabama's gonna beat Michigan. So.
Well, college hoops just tipped off as well. Who do you have your eyes on as this season gets started?
I got my eyes on a lot of the freshmen this year. I feel like it's going to be a freshman frenzy. I got Kentucky got at least 5 freshman basketball players that should be in the top 15 draft. I like Harvard. Harvard got one of the best scorers in college basketball right now. We got Sacred Heart alum. He's top 5 in the nation in scoring in Hofstra. And also with UNC as a point guard as well, playing pretty well for them coming out. He reclassed and came a little early, so I feel like it's going to be a very intense college basketball season.
Do you have any March Madness favorites? I know it's only December, but who's that team to look out for?
That team to look out for is Kentucky. I feel like with a lot of young guns, I feel like they could definitely make it happen.
What about Alabama? They're becoming a bit of a basketball school.
Alabama got a lot of transfers coming in from different schools, North Dakota State, Hofstra, a lot of college players of the year. So, yeah, they definitely could be pretty good, too.
Hey, don't go anywhere, Rob, as coming up right after the break, me and you are going to talk NBA in-season tournament. A champion was crowned, as Mia mentioned. We're also going to talk some puck. NHL season is in full swing.
Half Hour Hustle is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel, to give sports fans a chance to win every day.
Welcome back to the Half Hour Hustle. It's me, Evan Cormier, alongside Mia Sansanelli, and Rob's back. Robert's ready to talk in-season tournament as the first ever champion has been crowned. The Indiana Pacers went to Las Vegas to take on the LA Lakers. Let's see how it played out in T-Mobile Arena. Tyrese Halliburton wasted no time getting in the action. This is his first of 11 assists, finding Buddy Hield in the corner. But this was the Anthony Davis game. His first of 16 field goals was this monster jam later that quarter, and this is just ridiculous. Falling, flailing, and one for AD. Third quarter, AD in the post. Sweet feet, scoop and score. And why not another Anthony Davis? Cuts, pump fakes, two-handed slam. Hey, Austin Reeves was there too. 28 points off the bench for Vanilla Reeves, including this third quarter lay. Here's the king to the brow, Lob City. Look out below. Anthony Badman Davis finishes with 41 points, but the Pacers would tighten it up late. Benedict Mathurin off the steal lets AD know about it. The king with the dagger. LeBron would finish with 24 points and 11 rebounds and would be crowned as the first ever in-season tournament MVP. The Lake Show win it all. Take that, Jordan. Now we welcome Rob back. Rob, the in-season tournament has now ended. Do you think the first iteration was a success?
Yes, I do. I think the first playing tournament was definitely a success. I feel like the whole point of the tournament was to get competitive play throughout the regular season. I feel like they definitely did that. And I feel like the players did a great job of showing up and showing out for the fans coming to watch.
How do you feel about LeBron getting the tournament MVP over Anthony Davis after that monster 41-point game?
I feel like that's LeBron just doing what LeBron does. I feel like he's kind of just doing what he's always been doing. Greatest player of all time.
What do you think they could do differently the next time around to make this a little bit better?
I feel like the only thing they could really add or change to it will be just making the series maybe a little longer, other than just one game, maybe three games, maybe 5 games, but that might be a little too much. But I think the 3 probably wouldn't be that bad.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool idea. I also would like to see a little bit more marketing go into it. There's times where I think they were doing Tuesdays and Thursdays, but I had no idea when it was going to be a play-in night, when it was just a regular season night.
Yeah, I feel like if they get a better job of promoting that, it'll be a lot better.
Yeah, I really liked how the games felt like they mattered a little bit more. The postseason feel was definitely there. The energy was there. The crowd was into it. So I think the in-season tournament is going to be here to stay. Thank you for joining us, Rob. As always, the in-season tournament, a success. I was happy to hear your thoughts on it.
Thank you for having me.
Now we move to the ice, onto the NHL. Here we take a look at the current top 4 in the Atlantic and Pacific divisions. Still very early, but we want to keep you updated on all things around the sports world. If you're wondering about the Metropolitan and Central standings, you'll have to tune in tomorrow to get the updated records after tonight's games. Now we welcome in our NHL analyst, Dan Heisey. Dan, thanks so much for joining us today.
Absolutely, always happy to be here.
First, I want to ask about the Eastern Conference. Are the Rangers the team to beat this year?
I really think they are. I mean, they just got Adam Fox back. Panarin has been absolutely on fire for them. And honestly, I think top to bottom, they're the most complete team out there. Because not only do you have your top pieces in Adam Fox and Panarin, but you also have your role guys like Eric Gustafsson, Jonathan Quick, that are really, really doing exactly what they need to do, exactly what they were brought in to do. So their power play has just been excellent. Honestly, I don't think there's a whole lot to change for them except to just kind of keep plugging and chugging along the way they have been. Right now, I don't really see them being stopped anytime soon, especially when it comes to the Eastern Conference.
The Rangers have kind of been the thorn in the Bruins side for a couple years, but the Bruins just came off the best season of all time. You don't think that they're maybe a team to watch out for?
I mean, they definitely are, and I think it's really going to be a two-team absolute just dogfight right at the top between the Rangers and the Bruins. But right now, I think the Rangers have a lot of the momentum. Bruins, I don't think they're going to coast so much, but I really think that the Rangers have the momentum on their side right now.
And I want to talk about the West a little bit. It's crowded at the top. Who do you see pulling away?
So I'm actually going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to go ahead and say the Colorado Avalanche. Now, I know that's a little bit of a risky pick. They're about third or fourth right now in the conference. But when you have that top three of Cale Makar, of Nate McKinnon, of Mikko Rantanen, I mean, honestly, they seem very top-heavy. But those three are as good a top three as you're going to find in the entire NHL. And something that I don't think gets figured in a whole lot, they have a little bit of an easier schedule in the second half of December. I mean, over half, if not 3/4 of their games are against teams that are right around or below 500. If they can take care of business against those teams and then win at least a handful of the ones remaining against the people that are over 500, I really don't think there's any reason why they can't come out of December and into the second half really looking at a really good position, if not on top entirely.
Yeah, well, I mean, the defending Stanley Cup champions also happen to skate in the West, the Vegas Knights. You don't think they have a horse in this race?
They absolutely do, and so it's really tough to count them out at any given moment. But one of the things, if you look at, they've been very, very good in the shootout wins and overtime wins, and I think that's just a little bit unsustainable, honestly. I really think that right now, as it goes, they just can't keep that up the entire time. You're not going to keep up an amazing winning percentage on overtime games the entire season. At some point, they're going to fall back to earth. Those wins are going to turn into losses. That's points left on the board for them. And so I think they're going to come back down to earth just a little bit and make it a lot more interesting.
Yeah, I just have one more question. Can you talk a little bit about Tampa Bay? I know we're going back to the East, but you just know so much. I want to hear more about Tampa Bay.
So the Lightning, honestly, they're middling right now, and so it's going to be tough for them to kind of dig themselves out of that hole, just being right about in the middle of the entire conference. And so until that happens, until I see a little bit more consistency from them, it's really hard not to pick the guys at the top, the Rangers, the Bruins. Maybe they can make some noise, but really I think right now, Rangers, Bruins, the two teams to beat, the dogfight at the top. And until I see something more consistent from the Lightning, I just don't see it.
What about the Hurricanes and the Panthers? You think they're one and done? Their playoff hopes aren't really there this season?
They are, but to a lesser extent, I think. The East seems very top-heavy, and so then once you get into that middle mosh pit, as it were, it's going to get a lot tougher for all those teams to really kind of differentiate themselves from all the other ones. So until that happens, until I see someone that says, yes, we can take on the Bruins, we can take on the Rangers, right now it's tough for me to really throw my hat or get my weight behind any of those other teams.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Dan. We look forward to having you on again soon. We do want to share some breaking news regarding the Olympics. The IOC has allowed Russians and Belarusians to compete as neutrals in this summer's Paris Olympic Games. Individual events only, no team sports allowed for those players. We'll be talking about this and a lot more Olympics news. We're going to welcome on our Olympics analyst just after the break, Kenley Pierre. Do not go anywhere. Welcome back into Half Hour Hustle. This time we are joined with an Olympics analyst, Kenley Pierre. But first, Evan, I want to talk about this decision a little bit more. So since the war has started in Ukraine, there's been a pretty big debate on whether or not the athletes in this region should be able to compete in this Olympic Games in Paris. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough situation. Obviously, there's been reprehensible actions committed on both sides in that sort of region. So I understand why it feels like we need to condemn them any way we can. But for these athletes, they've been competing their entire lives for a chance at an Olympic Games. So for them to pay the price because of something that their government is doing doesn't seem entirely fair. But again, I understand the angle just because it is obviously we're in a position where we have a chance to condemn their actions. So we feel responsible to do so.
Absolutely. I understand that perspective as well as an athlete. You know, I don't want some committee to decide my fate of playing in Olympic Games. And this is going to affect more of the team events, but the individual events are pretty much okay. So speaking of one of the biggest individual events, we have track and field. Kenley, can you tell me a little bit about the big names in track and field coming into Paris this year?
I'm glad we got track and field in the Olympics because we got two of the premier athletes for track and field, Sha'Carri Richardson and Nora Lyles. Nora Lyles has experience, he's a 6-time world champion, and he's also a really good athlete. Him and Justin Coleman are going to lead the way for Team USA, and I believe they're going to get it done and get another bronze, like how they did 4 years ago. So the consistency they have, it's same for Sha'Carri. So I think we should be good as far as track and field for Team USA.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to watching that one this summer. And we're going to take a quick look at the USA basketball. If you want to learn more about that, you'll have to come back tomorrow. After this break, we have 2023 Best Sports Moments coming up, made by yours truly, Evan Cormier. Don't go anywhere.
Half Hour Hustle is brought to you by Barstool Sports. Barstool Sports, by the common man, for the common man.
Welcome back. Hey, thanks for sticking with us. If you made it this far, we're going to wrap things up with a look back at 2023, some of our favorite moments. Let's take a look.
Targeting.
After video review, there is no foul for targeting.
Taking a look back at 2023, the year of the rabbit, a symbol of longevity.
As they march on to the championship game.
In the national championship game. It's on the way. No good.
As the ball dropped, Ohio State hooked the kick, sending the Bulldogs to their second straight national championship where they would beat the Horned Frogs in unprecedented fashion. The worst loss in bowl game history, and it came on the sport's largest stage.
Georgia, it's the 60.
The Damar Hamlin injury changed football forever. And the sport said goodbye to the greatest to ever do it.
I'm retiring.
LeBron James cemented himself in the record books once again, breaking Kareem's unbreakable record. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs secured ring number 2. March came and Fairleigh Dickinson became a household name after becoming the second 16 seed to ever be a number 1 seed in the tournament's history. Angel Reese and the LSU Tigers sparked debate and praise as the women's national championship game became the most watched women's basketball game of all time. The Bruins set an NHL record, and Brittany Griner returned home. Vegas hoisted Lord Stanley for the first time, and days later the Nuggets brought home Denver's first Larry O'Brien, the most talked about prospect since LeBron James found his home. And Nebraska's volleyball team set the record for the most attended women's sporting event, playing in front of 91,000. Joe Burrow signed the richest contract in NFL history, and Aaron Rodgers was anointed as the quarterback of the future in New York.
So now Rodgers sits down.
Or so we thought. Coach Prime and his son Shador took over college football, selling out the team's season tickets for the first time in the university's 100-year history and drawing in more viewers than Monday Night Football. The United States national team said goodbye to a hero, and the Las Vegas Aces went back-to-back in the WNBA. In November, the Texas Rangers won the long-standing franchise's first World Series, and Formula One came to America. The Lakers won the NBA's first ever in-season tournament. And Shohei Ohtani signed a mind-shattering deal with the Los Angeles Dodgers. The playoff committee was forced to make the most controversial decision in the Assembly's history, giving way to a more than memorable start to 2024. January 1st, college football will once again reign in the new year the way only college football can. Here's to more memories and records broken. Till next time.
Wow, Evan, thank you so much for putting together that amazing montage. There's so much to look back on in 2023. So many amazing moments not even forgotten about. I mean, personally, one of my favorite moments was when Messi signed with Inter Miami, and that was in the middle of this year, and it seems like so long ago. You know, also there's some amazing moments like Nebraska selling out their stadium, Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark. What about you? What are some of your favorite moments?
Yeah, I mean, there's only so many moments you can fit into 3 minutes and 30 seconds, but I really like the draft every single year. One of the crazier drafts I can remember, the Texans taking C.J. Stroud at 2, trading back in, and then getting Will Anderson at 3, and then the Heisman Trophy presentation was just last night. Jaden Daniels swept the house. What do you think of that decision?
Yeah, I mean, I think it had to go to him. He got 90% of the votes. He was clearly the best player in college football. It just had to go to him.
Yeah, let's see what you guys thought at home were some of your favorite moments of the season. Wow, looks like LeBron is sweeping up.
Absolutely. I mean, how could you not? It's such a legendary moment, really early in 2023, but I think it has to be up there for me as well.
Yeah, and then the playoff committee's debauchery's up there as well. Everybody loves chaos. I think that's really what sealed the deal on that decision.
Absolutely.
Anyways, for all of us here in the studio, Evan Cormier alongside Mia Santinelli. Stay with us tomorrow. We're going to cover a little bit more of the Heisman Trophy presentation. Thank you for joining us tonight. This has been the Half Hour Hustle.